My name is Peter Lehmuller, Academic Dean at the Charlotte campus. Welcome to the William R. Tiefel Professorial Chair Program. Bill Tiefel is the retired Vice Chairman of Marriott International and Chairman Emeritus of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company. He's an industry icon who has long championed the importance of higher education, and in keeping with that passion, Bill established the university's first endowed chair in 2003 as a legacy of industry involvement and interactive hospitality education. The Hospitality College of Johnson & Wales is proud to host the Tiefel Chair Program, which brings industry partners directly into the classroom. As students of Johnson & Wales University, the Tiefel Chair is a great opportunity to interact with senior executives and gain valuable insight into the industry of which you will soon be part. Today we are proud to have Gene Cohen as the 9th recipient of the Tiefel Chair. Gene recently retired as the Chief Operating Officer of the Atlantis Paradise Hotel and Resort in the Bahamas. And to call the Atlantis a hotel is sort of like calling the President of the United States an office manager. The Atlantis cost more than $2 billion to build, has more than 2,000 rooms, the world's largest open-air marine habitat, a 600-room resort, 500 condos, a marina, and a casino with more artwork than most museums. Prior to the Atlantis, Gene served as Vice President of Ritz-Carlton Caribbean, which included the Ritz-Carlton Grand Cayman, voted the #1 Ritz-Carlton in the world and the #1 resort in the Caribbean. A hotel executive with more than 37 years of industry experience, Gene was also Senior Vice President for Ritz-Carlton Hotels Northeast U.S. and Canada, Vice President for Marriott Hotels New York Metropolitan Region, General Manager of the Marriott Marquis in New York City, and General Manager of the Five Diamond Ritz-Carlton New York. A Boston native and a finance and accounting graduate of Northeastern University, we are indeed privileged to have such a distinguished hotelier as Gene Cohen with us today. Now, therefore, it is my pleasure to present the 2013 Tiefel Chair recipient, Gene Cohen.
Thank you very much, and good morning, Johnson and Wales. Good morning. I'm so delighted to be here. I want to thank the President Gallagher, Anne Marie, there you are, and Dean Petroulis. Who else do I want to thank? But I see somebody here. There you are with Vice President Malik. Thank you so very, very much for inviting me. I am delighted and passionate to be here and talk about my life's work, the hotel business. I love the hospitality business. It's been 37-year love affair. And why do I love it so much? I love it because it's so interesting. I have worked with so many dedicated and terrifically talented people, and many of them are from Johnson & Wales alumni. In fact, you can be very proud of your alumni. I've worked with them in culinary and in food and beverage and in management throughout my career, and they've always represented you well. When I talk about diversity and why I love diversity, I love working with diverse people. And at the Ritz-Carlton Grand Cayman, there were 84 countries represented from all over the world. How exciting and fascinating. Not just demographics, but socio-economic as well. You work with people with MBAs, and you work with people who haven't gone to school or have a very limited school. And how exciting to work with all. Another reason I'm passionate and excited about the hotel business is the diversity of locations. You can work anywhere in the world. There are hotels where people want to be. They're in the cities, they're in airports, there's convention hotels, there are hotels and resorts. You can work from Australia to Zimbabwe and every letter in between. Now, is that exciting? Think about that. I was talking to Anne Marie the other day yesterday, and I said, if I was going to start all over again today, I would go to every opportunity I had anywhere in the world because it's so exciting. And the diversity of type of hotel, the diversity of location of hotels, you have the world at your fingertips. And you have a chance to pick and choose where you want to go now. Many are graduating now, right? How many of you seniors? Congratulations, man. It's been a long trip, hasn't it? Long, hard work. And as you're looking forward to your graduation, you also should be thinking about what companies do I want to work for, right? See, companies choose you, but you choose them as well. And I think it's very important you think about where I want to work and what company. To me, some of the most important decisions you make are, because once you get started with somebody and you do a good job, your career can grow within that company. So you want it to be a good company. So you must think about, is this company aligned with my mission? So what do I mean by that? Say your mission is, I'd like to have global experience and I'd like to work in Asia. Well, does that company have an opportunity for you to have global experience? Say your mission is, I want to work and make sure we're working in a sustainable way. Does that company respect and have programs to sustain and be ecologically focused? So you have to think of those things. And your principles as well. Does it treat people with dignity and respect? Does it allow managers to treat people and teach them and help them grow? Or does it work like a military operation? So when you choose your place you want to apply, make sure you're thinking about does it match myself, my principles, what I believe in, and will it give me some opportunity to grow? I also like to give you advice to join a company that's growing fast. Try to find out what the growth is. When you're interviewing, say, what are your future growth plans? Now, why is that important? Because when there's a lot of growth, there's a lot of fast movement, right? You're in a job, you're doing a great job, you're proving yourself, there's an opportunity. Even if somebody else moves to Asia and you don't want to move, it opens a job. So the faster the growing company gives you lots of opportunities. So I highly recommend you're in a high growth company if that's what you're looking for. All of us have been given opportunities that we were not ready for. We weren't 100% prepared for it, but somebody recognized in us the ability to lead, the ability to contribute, and gave us the opportunity. And that's how you grow. Every single time I've ever taken a new job, I've had a wonderful chance to get better at what I do. Pardon me? Oh, I thought he was talking to me. I also recommend that when you're looking at jobs, you look at not just a ladder that you go up on, like say some people might be a food and beverage, they start off as a restaurant manager, then they become or an assistant restaurant manager, then they become a restaurant manager, then they become a food and beverage director, or an assistant food and beverage director. So instead of thinking of your career in a ladder, you should think of it as a chance. Salute. You should think of it as a chance to do different things in different divisions. Sheryl Sandberg just wrote the book Lean In, and I don't know if you had a chance to read it. It's an interesting book. And she writes in that book that her human resource director, Lisa, describes career paths today as jungle gyms. Jungle gyms is a chance to move around in different positions before you just go up. Now, why is that important? It gives you lots of experiences. It helps you get to know other people. And when you do become in a more senior role, you have actual experience. In those positions, you can talk intelligently about them. When I first started in the business, I started in food and beverage. I started in catering and in banquets. And I worked through that job, became head of catering. Then I went over to the food and beverage area, became director of food and beverage. Then I went to the rooms area, front office manager, became rooms exec. Then I went to sales and marketing, did sales and marketing. And if you looked at that career, it wasn't straight up. It was going like this. But boy, did I appreciate when I was in jobs where I needed to understand how to build business, that I had that sales and marketing. Or understand how to run a banquet when I was at a hotel that had huge banquets. That really, I drew on those experiences. So I highly, highly recommend that it's a jungle gym, as Sheryl Sandberg quotes, not a ladder. Very, very important. When I was at the Atlantis, I had no idea of most of those jobs. I was chief operating officer, and I was in charge of dolphins. I came from New York City. I was in charge. We had veterinarians. I was in charge of the sewer plant. That's fun. Roads and easements. I didn't even know what easements were. I was in charge of a big water park. Has anybody been to Atlantis? You know what I'm talking about. It's crazy, right? 600 acres. Huge, huge facility of areas that I had absolutely no idea about. And that's what excited me. Instead of making me nervous, I said, good, I can learn something new. One of the very first things I did when I got there was recognize, I don't know how to do this. I had doctors reporting to me. I had veterinarians reporting to me. They wanted to teach me about dolphin husbandry, which I had no interest in learning. So all of a sudden, I'm in charge of this. So how do you become successful when you're in charge of something you don't have any clue about? So one of the things I did the first time, I met with all my senior executives, and I said, look, this is a great opportunity for me. I'm so happy to be here. I'm very excited. But I don't know. I've never run dolphins. I can't fake it. Can you fake it when you don't know something? Of course not. I don't know dolphins. I never had a veterinarian report to me. In fact, I've never had a doctor report to me. And so I went through all this. I said, no, I'm going to spend time with you, and I want to learn everything you know, and I want to meet all your team members so that I can help understand when you talk to me or ask me for money or ask me to help you, that I have understanding. So I did a full orientation with each person, and that's how you learn. I also knew that I needed to contribute to that hotel. I was brought in to the properties. There's actually 6 properties, very diverse properties, 7 properties. One and only, the 5-star, you might have heard of it. The big Royal property, the one that you see on TV with they call it the Michael Jordan suite. Then there's the Cove, which is an all-suite, great hotel. There's the Reef, which is a condo hotel. So people own it, individuals own it, and then rents out. Harborside, which is timeshare, and then there is the beach hotel, which is the older hotel. So there's 7 properties, and then there are condominiums, fully owned. Then there are estates, and so it was a pretty interesting job. $1 billion in sales a year. That's a big job. So I also want to talk to you about risk-taking, because that was kind of risky business, wasn't it, to take a job that you didn't really have an understanding. I knew hotel business, but I didn't know all this other stuff. So be willing to take a risk. Have the confidence and the courage of your convictions to take a risk. But I also felt I had to prove myself a little bit, and I want to share a story with you. I looked at have you all heard of J.D. Powers? They do surveys of guests. You know what I'm talking about. Well, J.D. Powers did guest services, and they put it all together as Atlantis. And our scores, on a score of 1,000, were in the high 300s, low 400s. Not good, right? And so when I met with these very talented general managers and head of the departments, I said, how come we're in this low, I mean, this is failing when you're 400 out of 1,000. They said, Jean, you have no idea. You just couldn't possibly idea the challenges in this big capacity hotel. So we took a break from the meeting, and I said, before we took a break, I said, well, what do you think, if we could get everything together, what do you think realistically our highest number could be on guest satisfaction? And one of the general managers, he actually worked for Ritz-Carlton, said, I don't know. I said, well, how about 800? They said, 800, we're at 400. I said, okay, your bonuses aren't going to be tied to this today, but what about 800? They said, we'd love to do that, but we can't. So I said, okay, we need to put a line in the sand. We need to make an aggressive goal, and I want everybody to commit to me that we're going to figure out what the issues are to get to 800. There was a lot of doubters in the room, I can tell you. So what do? We take a break. I walk out, and everybody walks out to take a 15-minute break, and there's a mob scene at the front desk in the lobby of the Coral Hotel. And people are screaming at the desk clerks for towels. Nobody has towels. And I look like, what happened? What happened to all the towels? They're trying to come back from the beach and back from the pools, and they want to go shower, and there's no towels. So there's one entrepreneurial young man, he probably graduated from Johnson & Wales, and he's selling his towel, $25, who wants my towel? And I'm saying, I can't believe it. I walk into the meeting room, I said, what happened? People can't get their towels. And he said, this happens every day, Jane. Every day. So how could that be? How could we rent rooms to people and not have the basics of a towel? It was amazing to me. And so they said, well, here's the deal. We just invested in a 75,000 square foot brand new state-of-the-art laundry. Brand new. But we can't get the towels out. I said, how could that be? He said, well, we must have underestimated. And we brought in a consultant, the best laundry consultant, did all kinds of tests, set it up, and we still can't get the towels out. And they said, no, think about this. Every person who goes and gets a seat at the pool takes 2 towels. Every person who goes on the rides, there's all kinds of slides and rides, takes a towel before they go, drops it in the bin, and then goes on another one, takes a towel. So we grossly underestimated how many towels we need. We need about 45,000 a day. He said, it's just not working. I go, I can't work in a place where you can't get a freaking towel to dry off. One of the general managers of the Ocean Club said, I had a wedding last Saturday, and they all came back from the pool to get ready, and there were no towels for the wedding. I said, what did you do? He said, I got in my car, went to the store, bought some towels, and gave them out to the people. I said, what did I do joining this company? What was I thinking of? I said, if it kills me, right now, I'm going to commit to you that we are going to fix this laundry. And the general manager said, we appreciate your enthusiasm, and we're all for you, but this has been like this for 14 years, and the new laundry hasn't helped, but go for it, girl. So I called the laundry manager. I said, what happened? And he's telling me the story. Well, this equipment is going 24/7. This equipment was so sophisticated that they take the sheet, attach it, it runs through the dryer, it's a roller dryer, it doesn't go like on a dryer, it runs through the roller, it has feet on the other end, folds it, and it comes back all folded. So it's just automated, this whole thing. So I walk into the laundry and I said, this just can't be. I called the head of the laundry consulting company and said, you guys screwed up royally, because I can't get towels to my guests, and you are the ones that designed this laundry. They said, we didn't screw up. I said, well, you certainly didn't count on all the customers in the pool. He said, we counted them. I said, what about the cruise guests that we add in who all use towels? We counted them. What about when it rains and every towel's wet and we have to take every towel out? We counted that too. Well, how could you have counted that and we can't get towels out? So I went into the laundry. This machine's out of order. This machine's out of order. This machine's out of order. And these are 800-pound machines. I said, how could that be? Call the head of the laundry company who does repairs, and he said, because you're running them 24/7, hot machines, it's like driving your car and never getting oil. Never stops, doesn't get oiled, or the fan belts don't get changed, it's a disaster. Then when it goes down, it's a 2 or 3 month process to fly in and get a part made and bring it in. Now, why am I telling you this whole long story? You're probably wondering. At the end of the day, through many, many different steps, hired an engineering head of engineering who had quit before because he was so frustrated, brought him back in, took down the equipment, did preventative maintenance to it, changed the, what I found was that so many of the sheets were ripped and stained, but they were being washed and washed and rewashed because of this automation. Started a whole rejection system. Hundreds of things, and in 3 months' time, it started to make sense. It didn't get better in a week. It started to make sense. We started to have sheets. We started to have towels. In 6 months' time, not a single problem with towels. You could have thought that I had discovered the cure for some major disease, or we could have solved so many issues with customers just to fix the laundry problem. And I'm telling this story because the most important skill you bring in to a job is the ability and the courage to tackle problems and solve them. Ever since what happened when we got fixed this? I said to the general managers, this was a problem you thought would never be fixed. We fixed it. Now can we make 800? And guess what? All of a sudden, people who thought things couldn't be done started doing process improvements and fixing their areas. And 3 years later, J.D. Powers, how many people want to bet what the score was? 802. From 400 to 800 in 3 years, from getting people, 1, to believe in you, because you proved them, 2, to all be focused on a goal, and 3, use common sense. Nothing that I'm telling you was ingenious, that you had to know laundries or that you had to be an expert on. It just took common sense. So as you think about what am I going to do in my job, my recommendation is take a problem that's been long-standing and not fixed, bring people involved who have some knowledge of it, and add some people who don't have some knowledge of it, and focus on it, get it done. You will be a hero, and you will get credibility, and you will be recognized to be able to do things that other people haven't done, and you will get opportunities. In fact, one of the pieces of advice I want to give you is volunteer for everything. When I was a general manager, or even when chief operating officer, we brought people in to help solve these problems who had their knowledge of it, and I got to know them. I've been on process improvement teams for my whole career, and people who are involved, who are bright, who are talented, who are volunteering, become well known. And all of a sudden, the general manager knows you, or the head of finance knows you, or the head of human resource knows you, and all of a sudden you distinguish yourself as being somebody interested in improvement, interested in contributing, bright and intelligent, who has good ideas and is willing to put extra energy in. Guess who's going to get recognized and promoted? Does that make sense to anybody? It does. You have to get yourself separated from the crowd and identified through your enthusiasm, your energy, the gusto you go out for it, your commitment to make it better. Those are the people who separate from others. Be action-oriented. So when in doubt, take action. Be goal-oriented. No leader you have ever known or yourself has ever been successful without taking action. We have a bias for people who take action. Sometimes it may not even be perfect, but it's moving something in the right direction. See, your jobs are to take something that you have and make it better. That's your job. And you have to be strategic about how you do it. Because when you're in the hotel business, things are coming at you like an avalanche. They're coming at you from every direction. And a lot of things are going to keep you busy. And it takes great discipline and great strategic thinking to focus on the most important things. Steve Covey calls it working on the quadrants. Steve Covey, who wrote 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talks about quadrants. And he said you want to work in the in the important but not urgent. And in the hotel business, you are in the urgent but not important all the time. And it takes great focus and understanding and comprehension of strategic planning to make sure a good amount of your time is focused on the important but not necessarily urgent. Make sense? And to be a great leader, I believe in strength leadership. I think strength leadership is the secret to success. And what does that mean? It means that every one of you has strengths. Every single one of you and everybody you'll work with has strengths. And your job is to figure out what those strengths are. Now, how do you do that? Your strengths, you can feel your strengths when you feel good in your skin. When you're doing something and you feel proud of the results and you feel comfortable and you can't wait to do it again, you can't wait to wake up in the morning, you can't wait to contribute in that way because it feels right. And when you're doing something that is not your strength, you get tired, you don't want to go to work. Has anybody felt this? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, of course. So how do you know your strengths? I told a story to class, and I think yesterday, but I think it's an important story. It's like if Michael Jordan or LeBron James is a little kid, and his mother is watching him play basketball outside. And the mother looks down at Michael Jordan and says, "Man, he's good at basketball, but he stinks at his piano lessons." So she looks at him playing, and then she goes out and she says, "You know, Michael, you got this basketball thing going pretty well, but you're not really getting the piano. So here's what I'm going to do. Not let you play basketball anymore and double up on the piano lessons." Bad idea, right? That's strength management is, look, this person has some skills here. They really have some real hope of being excellent at this. Let's not make them do something that they're not good at and they're never going to be good at. At best, they might just get through. So you figure that out for yourself. But your best gift for other people is to help them figure it out. How do you do that? When somebody's doing something right, you compliment them. You say, "That's fabulous. I can't believe that." We see this in culinary all the time with some very creative, talented culinarians who do super, super work, and then you give them paperwork and food costs and inventories, and they just hate it. And so instead of giving them more paperwork, try to get them to concentrate on their skill set, what they love, and get somebody who's great at paperwork to assist them on that. That's strength management. Now, don't get me wrong. All of us have parts of our jobs we're going to love and parts that we have to do. But when the parts that you hate and you have to do become grander than the parts that you love, you need to move to a job that celebrates your strengths and lets you be the best you can be. And I think it'll make a big, big difference in your life and in your happiness. I also think when you contribute to people as a leader, and many of you will go out in leadership roles, Steve Covey, and I mentioned him before from 7 Habits, talks about something that I think really rang true to me as a leader. He said, every one of us has an emotional bank account. So you know what a bank account is. You put things in, and it builds up, and if you take money out, it builds, it decreases. He said, so when you're leading people, or talking to people, you should make deposits in their emotional bank account. When they do something right, compliment them. Say, you're really good at that. I'm so happy that you found that. Or I'm shocked. Look at how wonderful this is. You are very talented in that area. He talks about his teenage son. He said, if you have a teenage son, and every time you talk to him as the father, you say, I don't like your hair, I don't like your friends, I don't like your music, I don't like your room, I don't like you going out late, I don't like the way you keep your car, I don't like who you're hanging around with, no, you can't have a tattoo, no, you can't get a piercing on your nose. Every single time you talk to your son, it's I don't like, no. Then something serious happens, and you want to have a real serious conversation. And you sit your son down and you say, I want to talk about your friend who's on drugs, or I want to talk about safe sex, or anything that is important that you're talking to your son about. And you know what he does? Click it off. Because there's no emotional deposits. He's on empty. He has no positive feedback from you. He's not going to listen to the negative or to the critical stuff. And it's the same with employees. When you have an employee and you treat him with respect and you treat him with dignity and you care about him and you make deposits and you take time and somebody says, you have a minute? You say, of course I have a minute for you. I always have time for you. Come on in. Or somebody says, I'm sorry to bother you. You never bother me. Come on in. I'm happy to talk to you. Let's have a conversation. Those are deposits over and over and over again. And then sometime, and it happens to all of us, sometime you're going to be busy and you won't have as much time to be polite. And something's going wrong and you're under pressure and you're under stress and you say, come on, let's get that, move, come on, right now. And the person doesn't say, wait a minute, don't talk to me like that. They say, they never have talked to me like this before. I see the pressure they're under. I give them the benefit of the doubt. And that's important. You don't make those deposits, you can't have any equity. Does it make sense to you? So think about that. Also, when I coach employees and managers, I do that from my heart. I want you to be better. I want you to be successful. I want you to have a brilliant career that you're happy with. Not everybody has to be the CEO, but if you want to be the CEO, that's fabulous. And so oftentimes when I have to coach somebody and it's negative, I start off by saying, I mean you no harm. I only want your greatest good. Well, that takes some of the meanness out of it, doesn't it? I want you to be successful. I would fail if you're not successful because I chose you, I believe in you, I've seen how brilliant you are. And if you aren't successful, we both fail. I want you to be the best you can be. Well, that's different from a boss who starts yelling at and dictating and, I'm the boss. That stuff doesn't work. Does it work on you? No. Who wants to work for somebody who thinks I'm in the power? That's crazy. This is a collaborative relationship. Of course you're the boss. But if you're in a leadership role and you have employees, of course you're the boss. You don't have to tell them that. What you need them to do, as a great leader, you need people to do what you have to get done, but you want them to want to do it, not to have to do it. It's so much easier for somebody to want to accomplish something than thinking, I'll only do it because I have to and they're watching me. That's a lose relationship. So how do I get people to want to do something? You get them involved in the work that affects them. I can't go in as a leader and say, I want to organize your dishwashing area, and I'm thinking right now that it probably makes sense that we move this here and put that over here, and I think that'll work. And the dishwasher's sitting there saying, when did you last do dishes? You never did a dish in your life. And you're telling me what's going to be better? And so the only way to make positive changes is to involve the people in the work that affects them. Bring in the team and say, we'd like to make your job easier. How can we do that for you? Believe me, they'll tell you. And that's the way to fix things. So all the time, for whatever job you have, your first thing you do is think, how can I contribute? What can I do? What's the most important thing that gets done? What are the goals of the hotel or the company? How do I align the goals of my area to those goals? And what are the steps I can do to make that work? Now, everybody's concerned about balance in their life, right? Everybody. And in this business, 24/7, it doesn't equate to balance so easily. And if you're in the resort business, you're probably the busiest when the school vacations. Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, those are the busy times. New Year's Eve. So you have to think, how am I going to be in this job long term, in this career long term? Because it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. 37 years that I've been doing this. This is a marathon. So what do you need to do? You need to find some balance in your life. I found balance by making sure I understood the company's goal, the company's vision, aligned my area of responsibility to that vision, clarified exactly what the most important strategic steps were, and let the minutia go. Let the minutia go. Or if it has to be done, delegate it to somebody who has less responsibility. That way, you're focusing on what's going to get results, you'll be recognized for those results, and you'll have a little time left for balance. I also recommend, when you're not working, to be in the now with your friends and family or loved ones. That means if you're with your significant other, don't be on your email talking to them and not even hearing a word they're saying, and emailing people and responding to people. It doesn't make sense. Be present when they're there and give them your full attention and your full love to them. So when you're there, you're on, and when you're at work, you're on. And try to give equal attention to both areas. It's always a big question, and it's a difficult question for women, because women are often the main caregivers of children. And so if you're working in a business that's so demanding and you have a child, how do you manage this? This becomes a little more complex. And one of the challenges is that at the age women have children, they tend to be in middle management, where they're not making as much money as senior management, and their hours are crazy, and so they're trying to balance that. When I coach women, and first of all, I think nobody can tell an individual what's right or wrong for them. You have to decide that yourself between you and your loved ones. But when I coach women, and I say, when they talk to me about money, they say, well, I'm making this much, and my daycare makes that much, and so maybe I'll just stay home, and then I get to spend time with my child, and I'm only losing a little money. And I said, that's great if that's what you want to do, but remember that you're making this much now, but if you stay on your career path, you're going to be making this much. And if you give that up now for 5 or 6 years, you might only get back to here. So it's an investment. Daycare is an investment if you're on a fast track to move up to a job that's going to be able to support you financially a little bit higher. Does that make sense to anybody? To women? Yeah? And again, I'm not saying everybody should stay in their career and not stay home. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful job to take care of children if that's what you want to do. But I don't want people to say, I have to do that and I don't have a chance to stay in my career. I also think it's important to find a great partner. Somebody who really, and this is for men and women, somebody who really considers it a 50-50 relationship, that really loves you and supports you and wants you to be successful, and understands that they take half of the responsibility at home and at work. And I think that's important. And you have to think about that when you first meet somebody, to decide whether this person is going to really support your career and make you happy in your career, and be proud of you, not put you down and insult you and try to bring you down. I think that's important. I've been married 32 years, And my husband was in the hotel business. He was a general manager when I was a general manager. He became a regional. He came home from work one day and he said, "Oh, I just got promoted, and I'm going to be a regional. And so my new assignment is in North Carolina. So we're moving to North Carolina." I said, "We?" He said, I had been a GM for about 3 or 4 months. I said, "We?" I said, "I just got a GM's job. I've been working for your GM for years. I just got it. How's this going to go over to my boss?" "Oh, excuse me, my husband's been transferred, so I have to leave the job." I said, "It's not going to work." So he said, "You're right." He said, "Well, we'll commute." So he went to North Carolina to further his career. I stayed in Boston for my career, and we commuted. He had a regional job, so he had much more flexibility. So we commuted means he commuted to Boston regularly. And it worked. We were interviewed by Money Magazine many years ago and on an article called Retirement, and we were on the cover of Money Magazine. And the interviewer asked us both a question. He said to my husband, the story's about retirement and how people plan for the retirement. He said, "When do you want to retire?" And my husband, Stephen, said, "At 50. At 50 years old, I'm done working." And then he said to me, "When do you want to retire?" I said, "I want to work to the day I die." So the interviewer looked at us, he goes, "Have you two talked?" And my husband says, "What's wrong with that? I retire at 50, she keeps working." What a good plan. And my nephew went to hotel school, and he was inspired a little bit by traveling with me at hotels and staying at hotels. And I kept saying to him, "You're seeing the positive side of the hotel business. As a young kid, coming into hotels, going to Atlantis, going on the slides, being treated like a little king when he travels." And I said, "But there's a work side of that too." So my husband was coaching him. He said, "So I suppose you want to have a career like your aunt, to be in the hotel business and be a leader in the hotel business?" And he looked at my husband. He said, "No, Uncle Steve, I want to be you. I want my wife working and I'm sailing." I said, "What a plan that is." So I talked to you a little bit about what's important as you look at interviewing, being able to articulate to the person that you're interviewing with how you will make a difference if they hire you, what you will do, how you'll approach it, how you'll bring focus, and why they should select you over somebody else. And I think that's very, very important. There's a wonderful book that I recommend for people who are starting jobs, and it's called The First 90 Days. And it's written by Michael Watson. And I think Michael Watson really describes what do you do, how do you focus, where do you begin in the first 90 days. I think that's essential. I remember when I first got the Marquis job as the number 2. Anybody know the Marriott Marquis in Times Square? 2,000-room hotel. It's right in the middle with the big atrium and the elevators. You know it, right? So when I was a general manager already in the Boston area 4 times, and I heard that the number 2 position, they called it resident manager, was open. Coincidentally, the general managers of the Boston area were having their meeting at the Marquis, their general managers meeting. So I had told my colleagues, my friends, the GMs, that I'm thinking about maybe applying for the number 2 position. I had never worked in anything bigger than a 450-room hotel, and this was a 2,000-room hotel, the biggest and highest volume and most successful hotel in the Marriott company. So my general manager colleagues, who were all guys, they said, "Why would you give up your GM's job to go become number 2? That makes no sense to us. Why don't you, go to Marriott Eastside and hang there for a few years, and then maybe another job will open, and then eventually you'll work up to the GM's job at the Marquis." And I said, "But I've never worked in anything over 450 rooms. Why would they give me a 2,000-room hotel? I think I want to work there." So we're checking in, and there's a whole bunch of us in line. And if you know the hotel, the front desk is here. It's this big, long front desk. And way across the atrium are the gift shops. We're way across the atrium in line at the gift shops, waiting in line to be checked in. And my colleagues are poking me in the arm, going, why would you work here? What's wrong with you? It was a 45-minute wait to check in. And they're saying, you're crazy. The more broken it was, the more excited I got. Something to fix. Wouldn't that be fun to fix this? And they're thinking I'm crazy. They said, you're taking too big of a risk giving up a GM's job to become a number 2. That's a risk. I was very happy to take that risk. So I tell the general manager, Jürgen Giesbert, I tell him, I'm interested in the job. He said, well, okay, after the meeting, go home and we'll set up an interview. He calls me. He said, when you come to the hotel, no matter what, don't let the luggage out of your hand. You may never see it again. This is what he tells me on the interview. I'm like, are you kidding me? So how the system works is you come to the lobby, to the front door. The doorman takes your luggage. It goes down into this huge pit with all other black luggages. You go check in, wait 45 minutes. Then they say, you have luggage? And you say, yes. And I have my ticket. Go over to the bell stand there, another 20 minutes. You walk over to the bell stand. You give them your ticket. The bellman takes your ticket, goes down to the sea of black luggage, spends 25 minutes looking around. If he finds it, he brings it to your room. Many times they don't find it. So he said, no matter what, don't let that luggage out of your hand. So I'm fighting with the doorman. No, I got to keep the luggage. I'm dragging it into the hotel. I'm dragging it up there. They said, why don't you keep your luggage? I'm not letting this luggage out of my hand. It's my clothes. I'm on an interview tomorrow, and if I don't have my clothes, I won't know what I'm going to do. So I go to the general manager, and I thought, I'd be lucky if he hired me. He was like, when can you start? Because nobody else was stupid enough to take the job or want this job. He left that part out. So I start the job, and I'm looking in the lobby, and there's this huge line, big line. And this customer gets so upset, he takes his card key, and he whips it at the front desk, and he hits the desk clerk right off the head. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I go down to the general manager's office. He goes, well, I want you to start, and I want to tell you first what I'd like you to do. First, you need to do some hospitality friendliness training for desk clerks. They're not very friendly. I said, friendly? They need freaking armor. The people are throwing things at them. Friendly? How do you expect them to smile? I said, this is ridiculous. The desk clerks were beat up. The bellmen were beat up. It was such a hard job to work there. And you know what I said? I am going to fix this if it kills me. Not just for the customers, but I felt so bad for those employees who, just trying to do a good job, were getting beat up every single day. So I said, first of all, we're going to bring in a committee. I want to tell you how I was so unqualified for the job. I meet the front office manager. I don't even know what to ask him. I've never worked in a 2,000-room hotel. So I meet the front office manager. I said, Mark, how's your day today? Good. How many check-ins and check-outs? I don't know what to ask. How many check-ins and check-outs? He goes, slow day, 12 in, 12 out. Only 12 check-ins in this big place? He looks at me. 1,200 in, 1,200 out. I said, why did I take this job? So I said, okay, I don't know how to fix this. We rated ourselves in Marriott by like hotels. So this was a convention hotel. So it was measured by J.D. Powers, and out of 200 convention hotels, we were rated 197. So I call the front, I organize this corrective action team. I have 30 people. I have corporate office. I have regional office. I have front office, bellman, housekeeping, reservations. Anybody who in any way could affect a check-in was in that room. I brought in a facilitator. And I said, okay, we're going to brainstorm everything that's wrong, anything that's wrong, and we're going to put them on all around this room. We're going to put it all on papers and try to get our arms around it. I think that's going to take a couple hours. 8 hours later, the entire room was covered from top to bottom with all the problems of why the check-in doesn't work. And the front office manager, who was sitting in the chair, is sitting lower and lower and lower and lower. He looked like he shrunk 7 inches. We didn't even have time to do anything else that day. It was done, and I sit with the front office manager. His name was Mark Ergang. I ordered room service, ordered a couple beers. You needed a couple beers after doing that, seriously. Put down the beers. I said, what do you want to do, Mark? You can leave it like this. You can be one of the many front office managers who've come and gone, never fixed it, or we can together work on it and tackle it. It can't make it worse, and maybe we can move it forward. And you know what? I don't want to look at those desk clerks, and I don't want to look at those bellmen and housekeepers in the face, and with me having on my watch and have them have such a terrible, painful job. He says, let's do it. So then we started, and one after another, each one had different teams. We went to fix it. I said to the bellman at one point, one of the bell captains was in charge of the bell team. I said, now if we fix this, what do you want as the goal? What would you want to do? What is the reward at the end? And I'm thinking they want basketball tickets or some party or go out to a bar or dinner. So they said, we want you to dance on the desk. I said, yes. I said, if you get that number, I'll dance on the desk. Never did I think that I'd be on the front desk doing whatever dance I could think of up there. They made the number. Every week they said to me, 2 more points. They brought in a boombox. See that boombox? Right on the desk. And it was fun, and it was exciting. And when I left there, after that job, we went from 197 to number 5 in convention hotels. And every single department was involved. Everybody was happy, and everybody felt good. I talked to a team. I talked to team building, people who specialize in team building. And I said, what should we do to build this team? And you know what he said? He said, I work for Mr. Tiefel. And Mr. Tiefel asked me to do team building. He said, you know what? We don't do those team building exercises where you do the free fall and you climb ropes. He said, you know what we do? We set a goal. We focus on the goal with the team. Everybody has responsibility, and we watch our progress, and we get there, we celebrate. There is nothing better than feeling like you've done a great job and you made somebody's life a little bit easier and a little bit better because of your contributions. And like I said, you don't need to be the expert, just need to be the person who organizes it. Make a little sense? I've talked about a lot of different things today, between process improvement, organizing, interviewing, what you need to do. I think empathy is such an important skill for a leader. And empathy, even more than IQ, can make you a better leader. There's a very, very interesting book, Emotional Intelligence, by Daniel Goleman. And he talks about how caring, genuine caring, and really wanting somebody to be successful, and really taking an interest in the person is going to be much better than being the smartest kid in the room. And so if you bring one thing to your career, make sure you follow the golden rule. Everybody know the golden rule? Treat people the way you want to be treated. And when you go to make a decision, say, if the roles were reversed, how would I want to be treated? Treat people with the same respect that you expect to be treated with. And that's a good sign of a leader. I have a lot of hope for all of you. I want to thank you for spending time with me today and taking the time to listen. I have great passion for this business, the hospitality business. It's given me so many opportunities and given me so much happiness. And I hope that you find true meaning in your work and contentment in your work, and you find the passion in your life, what makes you really, really excited, what makes you feel like you never work a day in your life. Find something that you love and do it with great energy and do it with great enthusiasm. Find the right career and then decide how far you want to go. Don't let anybody tell you you can't be at the very top. Don't let anybody do that. If you want to be the CEO, if you want to be the president, if you want to be the general manager, you set up your goals and move towards that. And I hope that when you come to the obstacles in life, which we all do, and you have to navigate through the difficult times, that you come out with greater resolve and greater strength. And remember, we all have to navigate through those difficult times. See, this industry really needs bright and ambitious and passionate people like you. This industry needs you to be successful and to lead this industry into the next generation. And I am convinced that each and every one of you will make a huge contribution to this great industry. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.